sulong edukalidad at these very interesting times that I welcome all of you to our webinar today. Ay po tayong lahat.
Right. Thank you, Director June. Okay, dahil po may execong sila Yusek Mateo and sila Yusek Umali ng 10. Okay, let's hear first the message from our Undersecretary for Planning, Human Resource and Organizational Development and Field Operations, and our father of Oplan Balik Eskwela, Yusek Jess Mateo.
Thank you, Butch. Good morning to my partner here, Yusek Tony Umali, our director, June, and to all of you RIOs. I'll be short and quick about the message. Just to say that it's really important that we put our hands together. Now is the right time to convince the public that we are all ready. And the only way we can do that is to address the anxieties of our stakeholders, not only externally, but also internally. And I think your group, the RIOs, headed by Director June, is an important element in ensuring all of this. On that note, God bless all of us. Tulungan tayo para magpapatuloy ang pag-aaral ng ating mga kabataan. Maraming salamat.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Yusek Jess. Ngayon po, let's hear the message from Undersecretary for Legislative Affairs, External Partnerships, and Project Management Service, and also our father of Brigada Eskwela, Yusek Tonicito Umali.
Thank you, Ms. Boots. Magandang umaga po sa aking Yusek Idol, ang ating Yusek Jess Mateo, ang ating ama ng ating pong Oplan Balik Eskwela, si Director June, Director Abram, lahat ng bumubuo ng PAS, RIOs, DIOs po natin ngayon at iba pang mga kasamahan po natin sa ating kagawaran ng edukasyon. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ako po'y humihingi po talaga ng paumanhin at nahuli po tayo dahil may hinahabol po kami at may kinalaman po ito dito sa Exicom na nabanggit nga po, emergency meeting ni Yusek Jess po natin mamayang alas 10. Ako po'y hindi ko akalain na nag-antay pa po kayo. Ako po'y humihingi talaga ng paumanhin. You haven't, I hope you had proceeded lang. At sabi ko nga kay Ma'am Boots natin, sana nagtuloy-tuloy ito. Pero be that as it may, I really appreciate how our PAS, how our Yusek Jess Mateo, Director Godoy, and the rest of our OBE family have been engaging our Brigada Eskwela family. Napakahalaga po nitong gagawin po ninyong ito dahil ito po ang unang pagkakataon na ang ating Oplan Balik Eskwela at Brigada Eskwela ay magsasama. Sususugan ko po yung sinabi ng ating Yusek Jess Mateo para maunawaan po talaga natin ang kahalagahan ng ginagawa nating ito. Ito po yung may kinalaman, klarong-klaro, sa atin pong kabuang kampanya para po lubos na maunawaan ng lahat ng sektor ng Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na po ang mga magulang at ang ating mga mag-aaral, kung ano po ba ang ating gagawin, ano po ba ang mga programang ating ipapatupad, ano po ba yung mga hakbang na ating pong gagawin para siguruhin ligtas ang mga bata pagdating po ng unang araw ng pasukan. At yan lahat para po maging mahusay ang pagpapaabot ng mensaheng iyan sa mga taong natukoy ko po ay nakasalalay sa inyong lahat. Napakahalaga po ng ating Oplan Balik Eskwela team, lalong-lalo na po ngayon sa taong ito. Dahil klarong-klaro, kung hindi po natin ito magagawa, ay yung kanila pong paniniwala kung kaya ba talaga ng ating kagawaran ng edukasyon na maipatupad ng mahusay unang araw ng pasukan sa August 24, ay baka magkaroon sila ng pag-aalinlangan. Kaya po ang lahat ng kanilang katanungan yan po ay ating kaklaruhin. Ang lahat ng kanila man pong agam-agam, yan po ay atin pong tutugunan. Yan po dapat lahat ng ating konteksto kung bakit po natin pag-uusapan itong OBE ticketing system at lahat pa ng bahagi ng OBE campaign program natin. At ngayon ay tutulong po ang Brigada Eskwela para po maging matagumpay po lahat ito. Itong ating proyektong ito. At ang proyektong ito ay may kinalaman po sa edukasyon po ng mga bata na magiging mga guro, abogado, doktor, mga profesional po nating produktibong mamamayan ng ating bansa sa hinaharap. So, it has all something to do with the future of this country. That's what this is all about. So, I challenge each one of you to rise to this challenges that our USEC Just Mateo has enumerated. At ako po'y nananalig na kayang-kaya po nating gawin ito. Marami pong salamat. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Okay po. Maraming salamat, Yusek Omali. Maraming salamat din, Yusek Jess. Ngayon po, let us welcome ICTS Director Abram Abanil for the introduction of the webinar on ticketing system.
Hello, good morning. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga Yusek Jess, saka Yusek Umali. Magandang umaga din kay Director June. Maayong buntag sa mga taga Visayas o taga Mindanao diha. Welcome to this training on the ticketing system on the Oplan Balik Eskwela. In the past, itong ticketing system, we have been using this in the central office. So this is the first time that we will be deploying it to the regions and to the divisions. This particular system will help us in consolidating all the issues that are being raised doon sa field, and it will allow us to track them, and the system will provide you with analytics that will help you summarize yung analyze ng whatever issues that are being raised by our constituents. So we hope that that this system will facilitate yung trabaho ninyo sa field, sa mga regional information officers. It will facilitate yung trabaho ninyo and help you in terms of responding to the issues that we will be facing this coming school opening. We expect that marami tayong mga issues ma-receive ngayon, particularly dahil sa mga magkakaroon yan ng mga tanong with regards to how school opening will happen in this situation. So again, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat, and we hope that this particular system that ICTS is providing as a service dito sa ating communications group will be able to assist you in your respective duties and functions. Good morning again.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Director Abram. Now, let's proceed with the OBE under the new normal by Ms. Beverly Berame po, team lead po ng Public Assistance Action Center.
Okay,
Bev?
thank you, Ms. Boots. Thank you, Ms. Boots, and good morning sa lahat sa ating mga USEC na partners natin sa ating OBE and BL, of course, kay Director Godoy. This is a quick presentation lang and a recall of our review of our Oplan Balik Eskwela, which is every year we are doing this. Our RIOs are very much aware na dito, no? So, para lang sa ating mga DIOs at sa mga newcomers who joined our activity, it's a quick presentation lang, na yung ating OBE, the same pa rin yung ating objectives na to address problems, queries, and other concerns that are commonly encountered by the public at the start of the school year, and to ensure that pupils and students are properly enrolled and able to attend school by the first day of classes. So yung pa rin po yung ating objective, we have to continue our OBE kahit na anong mangyari. Tapos yung ating traditional OBE, usually dito sa ating central office, we are setting up our command center or action center dito sa ating bulwagan. Dito sa central office, we are having 80 personnel to facilitate this. And We are open Mondays hanggang Sundays. Ano po, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. po tayo. But sa region po and division, what we know is meron po kayo dyang mga help desk. So dito po sa traditional OBE natin, we are accommodating all inquiries and complaints through different channels of communication, including walk-in. So yun po, nag-entertain po tayo ng walk-in dito sa CO at siguro sa inyo rin. We have face-to-face conversation and discussion of issues and concerns with the clients. Actually, napupuno po ang ating bulwagan. Our bulwagan is accommodating 150 to 200 packs during traditional OBE natin. There is a logbook. We need a logbook or database for recording purposes of complaints. And of course, we have referral forms na pinamimigay sa mga clients as a form of assistance. At higit sa lahat, yung mga kaibigan natin sa media, our media members are welcome to stay anytime and conduct interview. So, yun po yung sa ating traditional OBE. Pero dito, sa ating under the new normal, dahil nga sa ating current health situation, continue pa rin. Pero ito na lang po ang mangyayari sa atin under the new normal. Meron pa rin po tayong public service. Siyempre, ang ating channels of communication, the fastest po today is social media. So we have to activate our Facebook account, Twitter, Messenger, Instagram, and Viber. Our email po is very active. Ang ating pong action@deped.gov.ph, ang ating pong Malacanang hotline 888, Civil Service, Freedom of Information, and ang ating ARTA, Anti-Red Tape, ay active pa rin po. So sa division po, you can use, and region, you can use your own official account. At for this, our OBE, meron po tayo sa central office na short messaging system or text. So dito po sa central office, we have two. We have from Globe and we have from Smart. Ang ating pong hotlines ay active po. We have 6 to 8 landlines po dito sa ating central office. So sa region and division po, you have to publish ang mga open communications nyo. Letters or endorsement, dire-diretso pa po. At yun na po, ang wala tayo. The difference between traditional and OBE and under new normal, wala po tayong walk-in. This is for the safety of our personnel. And another one, under the new normal, we are strengthening and we are having our bayanihan sa paaralan with our Brigada Eskwela. First time in the history po, we are having a partnership with external partnership service with Yusek Umali. Of course, in partnership with Yusek Mateo, our chair, for the joint conduct of Oplan, Balik Eskwela, and Brigada Eskwela simultaneously on June 1 to August 29. We will be having a memo po, joint memorandum about this. So, you can read the details. And of course, active pa rin po ang ating interagency task force, IATF. We are having our Department of Health for the safety, of course, ng ating mga teachers and non-teaching personnel, of course, our students. DILG for the safety or peace and order. Transportation para sa traffic, DSWD, and then National Telecommunications for the communication system. Our DICT ay active din tayo. And then yung ating pag-asa, kung merong bagyo, ang ating MMDA dito sa Manila for the traffic situation, Department of Energy for our electricity, Department of Trade and Industry para sa mga school supplies and the prices, Meralco para sa electric power, MWSS, water supply, PNP, peace and order with the DND, and of course the national disaster. Kailangan natin yan para sa nangyayari ngayon, and ang ating PCOO para sa information communication. So ang ating advice lang sa ating mga regional and division information officers, please activate and update your official website, Facebook, kasi puro online po tayo, especially our social media account. All lines of communications in the region and division should be activated and published for the public to be known. And then ang ating DepEd's program, projects and activities, kailangan po updated. Dito po sa central office, we are now preparing a frequently asked questions. We have fact sheets to be uploaded sa ating website. You can access po yon sa region and division. And then nandun po ang ating mga new guidelines and policies, special enrollment concerns, and of course ang ating pong number one information dissemination arm, ang ating mga PRs and public statements. Sa ating pong sa ating pong regional and division committees, we are organizing, of course, our local committees. So we are having now regional and division OBE committees for the region. Regional directors and ARD will be the chair and vice chair of the regional committee, and for the divisions, this will be led by the school's division superintendent and ASDS. The member offices are public affairs unit, legal, admin, curriculum, and other relevant offices na pwedeng mag-support sa ating OBE. Ang ating pong OBE, ang ating pong objective under the new normal is localizing our OBE so that all concerns must be properly addressed in their respective areas. As much as possible po, yung pong mga issues natin kung pwede pong ma-resolve sa division level at sa region level para po konti na lang po yung ating i-resolve dito sa CO. Na pang CO lang po talaga. And number one, this is the reason po why we are having this OBE ticketing system. We need po to have a report daily on all the issues. We have to monitor all the issues and concerns received daily. So ito pong ating OBE ticketing system developed the ICTS. Ito po ang tutulong sa atin to send in your reports daily at 3 p.m. So yun na po ang magiging training natin dito. And then now we are requesting our regional office and the division office to send us committee members of their regional and division members of the OBE. Per region na lang po, their RIOs, yun na lang po ang gagawin natin. Bali, RIOs na lang po ang magsisubmit sa atin ng mga local committees ninyo with all the contact numbers, email, FB, Viber for faster communications. Ang ating pong deadline nito as much as possible ay next week. Pwede po ba iyon? Monday or Tuesday? Paka-email na lang po sa nakikita nyo naman po ang ating email. So with that, mababasa nyo naman po sa handouts ang mga functions ninyo. I think wala na po akong reminders para sa ating OBE, para sa inyong mga functions, sa mga hahawak ng OBE, local natin sa region division headed by our RIOs, facilitated by our RIOs, and division RIOs with the project officers and their staff. Nandito lang po kami sa PAS Central Office. Email nyo lang po kami at for any assistance and we will help you. All the handouts po ay i-email na lang namin sa inyo. With that, thank you so much. And if we can now, I think, if there's no more messages, I think Direct Godoy and Ms. Boots, can we now proceed to the main topic of our activity today, which is the training proper on our OBE ticketing system. Thank you so much. So may we call on siguro po ang ating partner from ICTS teams.
Ay, sorry po. Thank you po, Miss Bebs. Good morning po sa lahat. This is Kathleen Banjala of ICTS User Support Division. And nandito po ako to discuss or orient or train you regarding po sa ating OBE ticketing system. Let me just share my screen. Saglit lang po. Ayan. Nakikita na po ba lahat yung screen? Pa-acknowledge lang po.
Loading po, ma'am.
Okay. Loading. For some siguro loading pa. Pero
Ito na.
sige po.
Okay na po.
So,
nakikita na po.
It's
Okay po,
visible.
salamat po. Ayan, so mag-start po tayo. And this is, as Director Abram said earlier, na yung ticketing system na to is ginagamit na po namin sa ICTS, sa central office po. And first time po siyang i-launch outside central office. So, let's check again. This is a temporary link. Ito po yung ginagamit pa lang po namin ngayon na link. Pero reminder lang po na hindi po ito yung link na gagamitin natin for yung OBE natin mismo. So for now, ito po yung ginagamit naming link for training purposes. Alright. So first is our login page. So once na nakapasok po kayo ng link, na siguro pag meron na po tayong memo, nakalagay na po doon permanent link po for our OBE ticketing system. So login page.
Kat?
Yes po.
Excuse me, Kat. I'm just wondering, I think ang nakaproject ngayon is document management system. I'm not sure for the rest.
Yes po, document management system.
Ay, sorry po. Yun po yung...
Document management system user training. Yun po yung
sige po. I-ano ko na lang po. Kasi yan po yung binigay sa akin na, na link. Pero nung chinek ko po, nakapasok naman po ako. Pero baka... Sige po, don't mind the link na lang po. Pero ang link na lang po na gagamitin natin is yung i-provide na lang po after. We will provide na lang the link siguro with the help of Sir Jodel. Sir Jodel,
Kat, sorry, Kat.
Sige po.
No, the slide deck that's presented is the document management system user training, not OBE. Baka you can unshare and share again. As in yung presentation, hindi OBE.
Ay, talaga? Wait lang mo, ma'am.
Pa-unshare mo na. Apa, thank you.
Ay, hindi po kasi ako yung nag-share nito, ma'am. Sino po ba yung nag-share? Saglit lang po, That's not my screen. Sorry.
Paki-off lang po ng cam, please. Kita na po ba? I'm sorry.
Yes po.
Okay na po. Ayan. Again, sorry for some technical difficulties. So again, this is ulit yung ating link. So, again, this is just a temporary link provided na for our training purposes lang. And next, again, will be your login screen. So, first is you input your email or username. Later na lang po yung username. Makikita nyo po yung own username nyo po later. Ipapakita po natin sa profile. So, first is your DepEd email kasi yun po ang ating naka-register sa ating system. And then, your password. So, you may check. Your passwords are initially provided by ICT SSDD. I'm not sure kung paano sila i-disseminate, like maybe through your DepEd email na lang po. And then after logging in, your password, you'll be asked to change your password. So gaya po ng for security purposes, temporary password lang po yung provide sa atin. And then ang pinaka main rule naman po natin here is tandaan na lang po natin yung password natin for logging in the system. So change your password here, and then the next screen that you will be seeing is your dashboard. So what is the dashboard? So ito po yung pinaka main screen natin. It consists of your ticket activity. Ang ticket activity po is dyan po yung parang graphical representation natin ng tickets na na-create, tickets na na-delete. Lahat po ng activity na nangyayari sa mga tickets, dyan po nakikita. So this is nationwide po yan. So lahat po ng tickets na activity nandyan po. So next, again, this is the graphical representation. And then next po natin is yung statistics. So dito po natin makikita yung numbers po mismo. So as you can see, we have there the department. You can filter the results by the department, topics, and per agent. And then you also have here your export. So magda-download po siya ng Excel file, Excel CSV file, para po as a reporting mechanism ng buong, nationwide po yun. Alright, so just in case kung anong piliin nyo po dyan per department, as of now kasi central office pa lang po yung nag-i-input ng issues. So kinalaunan marami na pong lalabas dyan kapag naka-login na po yung mga regions natin and divisions natin. Alright, so again, this is the parts of your dashboard. So of your main dashboard, gaya na po na-explain natin, which has your ticket activity. And then your agent directory and the my profile or your profile. So let's go to agent directory. List lang po ito or directory ng ating lahat po ng agents na naka-register sa ating system. So you have there your name, yung name po ng agent. So for now, yung name po ng agent is nakaano po yan, pre-made na po yan ng ating admins. So may naming convention po kasi yan. Kunyari po is car admin ng car is car admin. For central office po, CO dot initial and last name. And then nandyan po ang inyong department, yung email po, and then you may or may not add your phone number sa office or your mobile phone. Pero syempre, ini-encourage naman po natin lahat na maglagay para po for communication purposes din. Alright, so next natin is yung profile mismo. So again, this is your profile. Pwede nyo po siyang palitan or i-edit. However, as I've said earlier, may naming convention po kasi tayo sa name. Dito lang po sa part ng name. Kaya para po din madali tayong mahanap or ma-search sa ating directory. Later on, ipapakita po sa atin kung ano po yung mga naming conventions or siguro nasa memo na rin po or sa mga handouts kung paano po yung naming convention natin. Alright, so you have there your DepEd email, which is also your login. Or ito po yung sinasabi natin, nandyan po yung phone numbers and mobile numbers. Pwede nyo pong ilagay dyan. And then, yung earlier, nung nag-login po tayo, it's asking for email address and username. So yung username po is here. So your first name dot last name po. And then you have your option to change your password again. Pero yun nga, yung matatandaan nyo po na password. Alright, so any changes that you made, i-save nyo na lang po and then remember them para po hindi po tayo magka-problema regarding logins. Alright, so next tab is our users tab. Ang users tab po is our clients or kung sino man po yung mga na-createan natin ng tickets. Okay. So, this will be your users directory. Mainly, lahat po ng in-input na users or mga clients natin, mga complainants, mga ganun. So, nandito po silang lahat. This is the list of the users. And next po natin is your organizations. Yung organizations po na part or subcategory is maybe let's say it will be a future enhancement po sa system. For now, hindi pa po muna siya masyadong ginagamit sa central office. So let's leave it here. Kasi ang main naman po natin na gagalawin here is yung ticket stop. So, next po natin is your tasks. Ang task din po is, it's not a major part po dito sa ating ticketing system. Pero pwede nyo po siyang gamitin personally. Kunyari, ginagamit nyo po yung system and pwede nyo pong lagyan ng mga tasks nyo or to-dos kung ilan yung, kung ano po yung mga priority tickets, pwede nyo po siyang i-prioritize. Kasi meron po tayong tickets na madaling mag-expire. So, again, this is also an additional feature lang dito po sa ating ticketing system. So, you can add you can add your new task para po sa yung list po na gagawin nyo for your to-dos. Parang gano'n. Alright. Nag-hop po tayo. Kung mapapansin nyo po, nag-hop po tayo from tasks. Iniwan po natin yung tickets kasi mamaya po mas intense po yung gagawin natin. Magla-live po tayo na demo dyan sa tickets. So we have here your knowledge base. So we have two parts here. You have your FAQs, frequently asked questions. Usually nilalagay dyan, I'm not sure, admins po yata ang pwedeng maglagay ng FAQs. So if you have FAQs na gusto nyo pong ilagay dyan, na you may ask admins po. Siguro po pwede nyo silang i-email or pwede nyo silang i-message or i-chat regarding po sa FAQs para rin po ma-view ng iba. So for now, halos wala pa po siyang laman kasi ang focus po natin is your tickets. Alright, next part po is your canned responses which is pre-made by our admins then sa central office. So we have here options like in English and Tagalog. Depende po sa ating users. So, we'll check on this pag gumawa na tayo ng ticket. So, magsasample po tayo ng gagawa ng ticket later. So, again, speaking of tickets, eto na po. Magla-live po tayo na simulation na kung paano po gumawa ng ticket hanggang sa pag-close po ng ticket. Alright, so let me just check again. Let's go to our system. So here is pag nag-login po tayo and then we go to our tickets tab. Nakikita nyo na po ba yung yung screen? Yes. Ayan. Thank you po. All right. So on the tickets tab, you have your, let's check the parts po muna. You have your open tickets and then you have your answer tickets and then your overdue tickets. Next subcategory po is... Ano po, sir? Sorry po. Ayan, continue na lang po muna ako, sorry. Sa My Tickets po, makikita nyo po dyan yung assigned to me or assigned to teams. I-discuss din po natin yan later. And next subcategory po is your closed tickets. So nandyan po yung parang na-close within this year today simula yung this year din po. Alright. So next is your summary. So nandyan po yung let's check. Again, summary, nandyan po yung summary po ng lahat ng tickets na na-assign sa inyo. So basically, filter lang po siya dyan sa mga options dito sa taas. And then if, just in case po na sobrang dami na po ng tickets nyo, and then you have the option po to search. Nandito naman po yung search feature natin to search for the tickets. Alright. So, let's try to start and create a ticket po. So, dito tayo usually unang gagawa. So, first is, kunyari po, let's take the situation as a phone call. So, first you ask for an email, phone number, or name. So, pwede nyo pong let's say, kasi ang system po natin, pag naglagay po tayo ng email address, makikita po niya na if you have already inputted the same email address. So, pag may kapareho na po siya, mag-open na lang po siya at makikita na po niya na naka-register na po yung user na yon. So, we have here yung email address. Siguro, let's treat this as a new user. So, let's say email. You may, yung iba, yung full name nila minsan ayaw nilang ibigay. So you can place NA na lang. Others also, ayaw din nilang ibigay yung phone number for personal reasons or security purposes. So you may or you may not place the phone number. Pero need po kasi natin, ang main natin is yung email address and yung full name. Just in case naman po na wala po silang email address, yung iba po kasi random na lang yung nilalagay dito para hindi lang po maging tawag dito. Or pwede nating explain din po sa customer or sa complainant or sa user na through email po tayo nag-update ng kanilang ticket para po malaman nila kung ano na pong result sa ticket nila, kung na-resolve na po ba. Dito through email po natin sila makikipag-communicate and phone number. Alright, so let's treat this as ganito po muna. So you add your user. So gagawa na po siya ng new screen for your user or your ticket. So nandito na po ang inyong user. Just in case po na magkamali po siya ng email or palitan po niya yung email, pwede nyo po siyang palitan or change here. So you may add CC dito po sa email. And then, ang main po natin is yung mga important details po, yung mga naka-asterisk. So again, parang yung situation natin is phone call. Again, ito po yung mga pwede nating pagpilian because ito po yung usually na ginagamit po ng ating OBE. So again, phone, email, walk-in, letter, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So, alright. So again, we chose phone call. And then, the nature of the call, kung ano po siya, if they are complaining, commendation, grievance, query, reporting a problem or issue, Usually ito pong reporting a problem or access issue is handled by central office maintenance team. And then request or suggestion. So let's say complaint po siya. And then ang department po is, sabihin natin, central office. So as you see, hindi naman po siya ganun na important here. Hindi siya naka-asterisk. Pero para po maganda yung, naka-align po ang ating mga tickets, lagyan na lang po natin yung department. Ang SLA plan, ito po yung magde-determine ng ating due as well as yung due date. So you may or you may not place this here, pero let's, for training purposes, lagyan na lang po natin siya. So ito po yung ating due date. So let's say on the 27th. So dapat magno-notify po siya na overdue siya dito po sa ating open tickets kapag hindi nyo pa po siya na. So this is also assigning to a certain agent mismo, just in case po na ang ating specific person, siya po yung nag-handle ng siguro complaints about tuition fees or over collection of fees. Alright, so i-check po natin, kunyari si Sir Raven po ang ating nag-handle ng collection of fees or issues regarding fees. So yung main concern po niya, pwede nyo na lang po ditong i-type. So usually ganyan. So if you have, or if the user has any other questions, or kung meron pa po siyang kinomplain na iba na hindi naman po regarding sa fees, pwede nyo po siyang gawaan ulit ng another ticket for that. Pero specific po ang ating, this ticket is specific only for one issue, kunyari po nga yung fees. Po yung reply po ng ating agent is specific din po para doon sa question na yan. So, just in case, yan po yung ating nilagay na issue. Well, kung nagkwento pa po siya regarding sa fees, pwede nyo rin po namang ilagay dyan. So, topic, let's say, nasa enrollment concern siya, dahil in subtopics, pwede nyo pong lagyan ng subtopics para po nga mas detailed yung ating ticket. Pwede nyo pong lagyan dito. You may or may not place subtopics. And let's say yung region po niya, let's say nasa central office din. Okay, action taken. So, important din po yung action taken kasi dito makikita nung previous agent kung ano na yung nagawa nung nag-create ng ticket. So, let's say merong DO regarding doon, binigyan niya pero still yung caller or yung ating user is hindi pa siya satisfied with the DO or kung ano man yung DepEd issuance na binigay nung agent na naka-receive ng call. So ito po yung canned responses natin kanina. Again, pre-made po ito ng ating admin. So meron po tayong English and Tagalog. So let's say Tagalog. So mag-a-appear na po yung canned response dito sa ating email or sa ating screen na isesend sa ating user. Pwede nyo po siyang i-custom made. Siguro po pwede nyo pong ilagay yung name na mismo nung user. And then nandiyan na po yung other details ng sagot sa kanyang query. Alright. So the status of our ticket is still open kasi meron hindi pa nga po siya satisfied. So just in case na ako yung naka-receive ng call at hindi siya satisfied dito at sa email. So we can siguro, sige, tatawagan na lang po kayo for more information or pwede po nating i-transfer sa another agent na mas makaka-resolve po ng query nyo. So that agent, we referred to as si Sir Raven po dito kanina. So let's put the status of the ticket into open. The part po here is you may or you may not put DepEd signature kung nakaset na po siya. Pero usually hindi na po nilalagay kasi yan po yung naka-default. So internal note is agent to agent note. Agent to agent meaning ako at siya kasi Sir Raven lang po ang makakakita. So pwede nyo pong sabihin na irate po masyado ang user, na paki-handle, please, handle. Pwede nyo pong sabihin yan para po may heads up na po si Sir Raven kung ano po yung what transpired through the call, kung ano po yung nangyari, ano po yung na-provide nyo na, which is nandyan din naman po, the issuance. So, imbis na po na submit, let's press open po. Kasi i-open po natin yung ticket. So, bago po mag-end yung call, i-provide po number, which is, you can see po on the upper left corner, ang ticket number po ng ating user. Para po, basis po ito, kung gusto po niya mag-follow up if ever na tumawag siya ulit. Alright. So, Sir Raven, ready ka na po ba? I-check po natin kung ano po yung nakikita ni Sir Raven doon sa kanyang screen. Okay lang po, Sir Raven. I-close ko muna yung screen.
Hello po. Good morning po. Ngayon po, papakita natin kung may pumasok na ticket sa ating system. Share ko lang po yung screen ko.
Paki-off ng cam, please.
Hello po. Nakikita na po ba yung screen?
Yes po.
Opo, sir.
Opo.
Yes po.
Sige po. Ngayon po, i-check po natin kung may pumasok ticket sa atin. Ngayon po, check natin sa open ticket kung meron pumasok sa atin na ticket. Or, ayun, may isang pumasok sa atin na ticket. naka-assign sa iyo or naka-assign sa Teams. Check po yung sinend ni Ma'am Kat na issue regarding dun sa complaint po sa fees. Ngayon po makita natin yung status niya is open. Then makita natin yung mga ticket thread nila na over collection of fees. I rate user, please handle ASAP. Then nag-response po siya dun sa user na yung can response po. Sa ngayon, pwede po tayong mag-response ulit sa user gamit post reply. Sa post reply, pwede rin po kayong mag-response gamit yung canned response or you can response by typing po dun sa reply box. Then, makita nyo po yung nandun po yung email address nung user kanina na tumawag. And you can add po ng collaborators para sila po yung gagaling sa agent po. So, sa ngayon, sabihin natin okay na po yung ticket. Mag-internal note tayo kay na i-close na yung ticket kasi already resolved na siya. Ngayon, kailangan may summary of the note title na collection of fees. Then sa note details, sabihin natin na this ticket is already resolved. Please close the ticket. Okay. Or pwede rin mag-drop ng files or anything po na or mag-embed po ng video or image kahit PDF po. Then click nyo lang po yung post. Ito po natin na internal note posted success. Makikita po natin na may internal note na po ako. Yung internal note po is yung agent lang po na naka-assign at yung gumawa ng ticket ang siya makakita nito. Ma'am Kat, pwede po bang pakita yung kung na-receive nyo po?
Sige po. Ayan.
Is it okay
so,
to ask questions?
Tapusin na lang po muna namin yung since patapos naman na yung process nung ticket. So, this is our ticket. Let me just check again. So we'll see here, yung ticket number natin is yung 32, which is yung sinagutan po ni Sir Raven. So, ang internal note po, explain ko lang din po ulit. So, this is the note nung creation of ticket, yung color blue. Yung light yellow po na color is yung agent-to-agent notes or yung internal notes natin. So again, gaya po ng sabi ni Sir Raven, ang internal notes po or agent-to-agent note is ang creator lang ng ticket at yung papupuntahang agent or yung recipient agent, sila lang po ang makakakita ng ticket. Ng internal notes. And yung medyo orange po natin na line here is reply po natin doon mismo sa user kung ano po yung in-email natin. So, parang color-coded po siya. Since reply po sa atin or nag-internal note po sa atin si Sir Raven, meron po siyang note na tayo lang po yung nakakita. So again, we can post another internal note or post a reply doon sa... Actually, pwede nang ginawa na rin ni Sir Raven kanina na siya na po ang nag-reply doon sa user na close na po yung ticket, or if ever may actions pa po siyang ginawa, pwede pa po siyang maglagay dito. Or pwede rin po ako yung gumawa kasi pwede naman pong sabihin niya sa akin kung ano yung mga nangyari, or I can just close the ticket kung siya na po yung nakipag-usap. So, mag-internal note po ulit tayo na closed na nga po yung ticket. And then, ang option po dito sa baba na ticket status from open to closed is available lang po sa creator ng ticket. Since ako po yung creator ng ticket, ako lang po ang merong option to close this. Kaya po nag-note si Sir Raven na please close ticket kasi wala po siyang option to close. Open lang po yung merong option siya dito. So since again ako nga yung creator, I'll be closing the ticket and then posting the same note. Na-close na po siya. So ticket number. Again, standard na po yung OBE 2020 and then sequential number na po yung susunod. Dash, 30 and 32. Sequential na po yan. So ibig sabihin, all in all, there are already 32 tickets po na napag-testingan po namin. Alright. So if pwede nyo rin po ditong i-view kung ano po yung nag-transpire sa thread of yung view po ng ticket. Okay. So, yun po ang ating live questions po. Paano po ba ang ating Ma'am Bebs, Ma'am Boots, paano po ba yung question here directly after namin pong mag-talk or mamaya pa po siya?
Miss Kat, ano last topic na?
Opo.
Last topic
kasi
na.
mag-revolve lang naman po ang ating sa ticket mismo, creation and closing ng ticket lang po. So pinakita lang po natin yung parts po mismo ng system and then po nag-simulate na lang po tayo for the ticket para makita po nila yung process ng ticket.
Actually, we are receiving na lots of questions, no?
Opo, nakikita ko po sa chat.
So maraming meron ka bang kayang actually last na yan, we have 20 or 15 minutes pa. Meron ka bang napipili dyan sa chat na pwede mong sagutin na?
Sige po.
Yung mga major siguro, Miss Kat?
Sige po, walang problema ma'am. Wait lang po. Check natin yung mga... Okay. Yung slide presentation po, yung mga humihingi, pwede naman po siguro with the help of paak na lang po para naka-consolidate po lahat ng ating handouts. Sa kanila ko na lang po ibibigay yung presentation ko, and then sila na lang po yung bahalang mag-disseminate. Alright. So, saan pa po ba?
Siguro, Kat, just to add, that you will be also providing them with a detailed user guide.
Yes po.
Apo. So aside from the presentation, a detailed user guide will be provided to everyone po.
Opo. Gumawa po kami ng user guide para din po to add on your handouts po, ma'am. Di ba magbibigay po kayo ng handouts? So, i-send po namin sa inyo yung approved po ng mga bosses namin na user guide. Hopefully within the day po, ma'am, pwede namin ibigay.
Miss Clar and Miss Kat, yung mga handouts natin, consolidate natin, paki-forward muna sa comms PAAC para
Sige.
yung distribution natin ng handouts, isang folder na lang sa mga RIOs.
Apa.
So Miss Kat, ang napansin namin dito na question, kung pwede raw i-explain muna what is the ticketing system at saka daw yung features ba? Yun ang napansin namin dito na one of the questions.
Okay po. Yung ticketing system po natin, again, the word itself, per concern siya na magka-create po siya ng ticket. So yung main po na gagamitin po natin yung ticketing system para ma-monitor lang po. 'Di ba usually gano'n naman po tayo sa OBE. Mino-monitor po natin kung ano po yung mga dumarating na queries po sa atin per division, per region, at saka sa central office. At the same time, para po specifically din na matugunan each of the concern, not necessarily per person po na concern, pero per concern po talaga siya. Hindi per ticket po is one concern para mas maganda po siya. Ano pa ba? Again, monitoring. Gaya rin po ng sabi ko kanina, meron po tayong export na reporting mechanism, which is magda-download po, pag napindot nyo po yung export, magda-download po siya ng Excel po na CSV file, and then doon po lalabas yung mga, nandun po nakakonsolidate yung mga reporting tools. Gaya po ng, nandun po yung, siguro po if magre-report po kayo within that day, meron pong option doon na ang ida-download po niya is yung pang that day lang. Pero usually din, ginagamit din po yun ng, ginagamit na ni Ma'am Bebs din po sa central office yun. Ayan. Ano pa po bang definition? So ticket, yung word po na ticket, yun po yung per concern po siya ng taong yun. Parang, paano ba to? Para monitoring tool or monitoring measurement of monitoring po natin siya para po makita po natin kung ilan na po yung tickets or ano-ano po yung mga tickets na pumapasok po sa atin. Ano po ba? Para po doon sa mga hindi po naka-view nung presentation, again, papakonsolidate po namin siya kina Ma'am Bebs. Sila po ang magko-consolidate and then sila po yung magde-distribute sa inyo ng minsanan lang. And then as well as siguro ma'am yung recording po nitong recording ng natin. Ng Teams meeting po natin.
Permission to speak po.
Ay, sige po ma'am.
Can we use the icon for raise hand? Kita nyo yon sa after ng that. If may queries po, pwede silang mag-raise ng hand nila. So you can acknowledge para tuloy-tuloy yung natin. Hindi magsasabay yung mga mag-aas ng query. Minsan kasi hindi agad mabasa yung sa chat box. Tapos po, ang pakiusap po, kasi yung mga gumagalaw sa screen, paki-off naman ng mga cameras natin. Salamat po.
Okay po, ma'am. Chinek ko lang po kasi, ma'am, yung mga previous question po. Nag-backread lang po ako kung ano po yung mga nalagpasan nating queries or questions kanina habang nag-explain po tayo. So, usually, yung mga pinapatanong lang po nila is yung mga definition. So far, sir, ang nag-raise ng hand na nakita ko po dito is si Sir Amir. Tama po ba?
Yes. Hello.
Sige po. Go ahead po, sir. Kung ano yung question nila.
Yeah, okay. Napansin ko kasi parang the last few minutes not be enough. So, nabasa ko maraming concerns talaga dun sa chat box. May suggestion na siguro i-summarize natin. I think the questions from other DIOs and other RIOs are the same concerns or will be so helpful din sa amin, sa ating lahat. So, kung pwede po ma-summarize and mabigyan lang siguro ng mga short answers and then maibigay po sa aming lahat. Para pare-pareho lang siguro yung aming understanding at saka mabasang sagot para sa mga question. Yun lang naman po.
Parang FAQs yan, sir, no?
That's right.
Okay po.
Because we share their concerns. Maybe none from Region 2 asked it, but I find it very helpful to also get the answer straight from all of you.
Sige po. Noted po, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay po. And Sir Antonio Ahmad, if you have a question po.
In fact, same concern ni Sir Amir. Kasi basically, parang nai-imagine ko, interlooping siya sa lahat ng governance level or sa lahat ng region. Yun ba yun? Or kung sakaling interlooping siya sa lahat ng governance level, included ba dito yung sa school? Kasi I understand yung OBE natin hanggang SBO lang.
Hindi po, sir. Ang OBE natin is madi-disseminate po siya hanggang sa school level. Tama ba, Ma'am Bebs?
Yung sinabi natin kanina, regional division. And of course, yung mga schools natin magkakaroon ng help desk. So, yung natin, siguro para sa kaalaman kasi nga we're running out of time na, yung mga concerns ng mga RIOs, pwede nating i-consolidate siguro, including concerns ng mga DIOs, di ba, Kat? And
yes,
then,
po.
ipapadala na lang namin sa inyo kung paano ninyo masagot, di ba?
Sige po.
Yun na lang siguro kasi ang dami naming nare-receive ditong questions, siguro paki-explain, kung may, please correct me, Miss Clar. Please correct me, Miss Kat. Ang ating kasing system this is new. Hindi ito yung last year natin na ginamit, di ba?
Yes.
So, during our meeting, bagong sistema ito. So, and then para sa kaalaman ng lahat, ito pong ating ginagamit ay open source, di ba? As per your explanation.
Yes
so,
po.
Open source po ito. Hindi po ito naka-flat talaga na DepEd system. Naka-PAAC system ito, hindi naka-public assistance complaint. So, medyo yung mga wordings na nakita ninyo, yung mga category, na nandoon, parang medyo confused yung topic, complaint.
Yes.
So we are just using this for the purposes of database system and recording of complaints and para ma-generate ni CO. At ang si region po, pwede rin mag-generate ng report through this system, kanya-kanya, and even the DO, pwede rin silang mag-generate ng kanila. Yung idinemo kasi ni Miss Kat kanina about the responses, Miss Clark, tama ba? Nasa PAAC yun?
Yes, ma'am. There is a way po for PAAC to be able to prepare canned responses para matulungan din po yung mga nasa region and division natin if they want to use that response or modify it a specific way kung may nagtatanong po sa kanila.
Oo. So, nagtatanong kasi yung ating mga participants kung lahat ba daw ng complaints face-to-face, text, hotline, ay yung ba daw ang gagamitin? Kasi ang pagkaalam ko is gagamitin natin yon in recording for the recording purposes of the concerns received.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, we of course will leave that decision to PAAC, but I believe the original design was to record all types of concerns so that we can come up with reports automatically. But of course, ma'am, it's your call if the Public Affairs Service and the OBE team, if you would only choose specific types of queries, media, or concern to place in this system. But for a system to be able to generate, ma'am, the complete reports that you need, malaking tulong po if lahat po ng types of concerns na na-raise sa atin during OBE po ay mailalagay, ma'am. But
Okay.
again, your call, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Miss Clark. Anyway, lagi naman kayong nandyan ang mga mga kaibigan, ang mga friends natin from ICTS. Kasi we don't have of time to discuss all the details kasi we have also part 2 of this program. So nakikita natin yung mga RIOs natin nagre-raise ng hand. Pwede siguro, Miss Boots, direct, pwede ba na gano'n na lang yung natin, consolidate on that or training to address all the concerns. So, i-consolidate na lang per region yung mga concerns. Sobrang dami yung nare-receive natin ngayon dito sa
Yes po. So pag may questions po sila, ma'am, ilagay na lang po siguro nila dito sa chat. Kasi recorded na yung mga questions nila.
Ganun na lang siguro. So, direct.
Siguro, Ma'am Bel, sorry po. Just to clarify lang po kanina, no? Kasi I think there was a question about schools and ang sabi po natin kasama ang schools. So, kasama po ang schools sa ating OBE. I believe, ma'am, hindi sila magiging users nitong ticketing system. Tama po ba, Ma'am Bel?
I mean, kasama ang school sa help desk. Halimbawa, meron silang complaints, at least kahit isang complaint o halimbawa sa school. So, ang talagang actual na OBE natin ay division lang at saka regional. Pero of course, ang ating mga school, meron din silang kahit isang desk talaga, help desk or isang teacher na pwedeng tumanggap ng concern and mag-encode na lang at i-consolidate na lang ni division office. So they will be submitting the concerns received to their respective divisions para makasama sa report. Okay ba, Ms. Clar?
Okay, ma'am. Opo. So, no user accounts naman on the school level. The division po consolidating and encoding.
And then, send it to the region. The region na kami na magko-consolidate dito as per yung, as per the of this system.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, the SDO will encode, ma'am. Kasi just clarifying the process. The SDO will encode. And then, wala na po silang ipapass sa region and division kasi automatically makikita na po ng region and central. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Po.
But the encoding will be doing by the region and the division.
Ma'am, isa lang po ata dapat. Baka division lang, ma'am, or else the concern will be counted twice instead of only being counted once, ma'am.
So, yung ang division kasi is hindi ba nakakatanggap I don't think I do not know pero ang region yata ay nakaka-receive din ng mga complaints directly.
Yes, ma'am, sorry. I meant the concerns of the school will only be encoded once by the division office. There is no for the region and the central office.
Yes,
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Clark, that's correct. Okay. So I think we have only 5 minutes na. Direk and Miss Boots, do you have any message pa or of course we thank our partner, the ICTS. Do we have any reminders before we proceed to the second part of the program, which is the crisis communications?
Apo, wala na po sa akin.
How about Direct? Direct June? Okay. Okay, so baka Miss Sophie. So wala na siguro. So Miss Boots, do you kung wala na siguro, so siguro we would like to thank our partner, the ICTS team headed by Director Abram, and of course Miss Clar, Miss Kat, and all those who work hard for this. Thank you for assisting us, for all the technical support, for all the help. And siguro chat na lang tayo or we will have a separate meeting na lang after this, just in case.
Yes po ma'am, wala pong problema. Thank you rin po. And then we'll help answer the questions na lang po pag okay na po or once na tapos na po lahat.
Okay. Or Miss Kat, is it okay na i-provide yung, of course, yung iyong email address for the future inquiry of our partners, of our frontliners in the field?
Sige po, walang problema po.
Okay. So with that, Miss Boots, I see Direct. Direct is here. Yes, sir. We are closing for the first part of our program. Direct June?
Yep. Okay. Maraming salamat sa ating IT team. Very presentation. I think we go to the next part of the program. No, I invited Vicky again. I think some of the RIOs have met her online to discuss just a preview of crisis management. And this is actually very timely and very important for all of us at this time, since we're encountering a lot of hostile reactions, no, on social media, and especially there's a problem with media coverage as well. And we're trying our best to do some interventions. So without much ado, I would like to ask one of our past staff to introduce Vicky for her very short lecture and discussion on crisis communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Director June. I'm Christine Moogpo from the Communications Division. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
ma'am.
narinig ka namin.
I'm Christine from the Communications Division. I would like to briefly introduce Ms. Vicky Luta. She is the head of Engage, one of the business units in Ion Group, which is a Makati-based communications firm. Engage specializes in public affairs, government relations, and issues and crisis management consultancy. Having worked in the communications industry for almost 14 years, Ms. Vicky has extensive experience working with the private sector clients in issue-sensitive or crisis-prone industries as well as public sector clients. Let us give her a warm welcome, Ms. Vicky. Hello, Ms. Vicky.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yes,
Morning po.
morning. Thank you for having
Good
me
morning, ma'am.
in this webinar today. I hope everyone's doing great now. Let me just share very quickly my desktop. can everyone see the video that I'm the slides that I'm sharing?
Yes, Vicky.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I'll just turn off my video para it's less heavy for bandwidth. Okay. Okay. So this morning I've been asked to talk about crisis communications. But since I have a very limited time, I'll just keep it to some key things that I think a communications team should have in place to be able to respond to a crisis communications effectively, to a crisis situation effectively. And then I'll open the floor eventually to answer some questions. Uh, Sophia gave me some initial pointers, some topics that some of you might be interested to ask about. So, and some of those topics I think require actually perhaps another comprehensive session. So I'll just open the floor later on for you to ask about those particular topics. So, okay. So what I'll talk about this morning, is, as I mentioned, is the things that you should have in place. No, but I think in any crisis communications preparedness, actually the major things that we should actually manage also are the behavior of people, how we communicate too, because that also dictates very much the success of the crisis communications process and the strategies that we have now. So what I've noted here are the things, the very important things that we need to manage in a crisis situation. So I noted the first factor is ourselves actually, because what I've observed actually is that when there is a crisis situation, a sudden happening, or sometimes the one that panics is tayo, no, ourselves, and that can actually make the crisis a little more difficult to handle because we're not able to think well. So the first thing actually to manage in a crisis situation is ourselves. We need to calm down and we need to assess the situation, because when we are not calm, especially if we are leading a team, no, in our respective regional offices, for example, or in our in our sub teams in the offices, then our team will also feel panic. They will not be calm as well. Panic is very contagious, no? So that's something that we don't want to spread to our teams. So that's why we need to manage our teams as well, because so we need our teams to be calm and to be able to think uh, well also in a crisis situation. However, in a crisis situation, it doesn't mean that when I say that we need to be calm, that there is no sense of urgency. There has to be a sense of urgency in a crisis situation, because there is a need for fast decision and organized action and reporting. So in a crisis situation, everyone must know their roles to be able to act fast. Another factor that we need to manage also in a crisis situation are our leaders. No, most likely we are the ones that will notice a crisis situation first. Perhaps it may be in a community, or like it impacts a specific school, and we need to raise it to our leaders. No, um, but we need to our leaders, the executive committee, for example, are very important in a crisis situation, because most likely they will be the spokesperson to media. No, they will need to be the ones to talk to the public and to talk to the media. So we need to help them by informing them immediately about the situation, but also inform them of the steps that are being taken by the team to resolve or arrive at the solution. Doesn't mean that we should already solve the problem before we inform them. Even just informing them that there is something happening and that steps are being taken to assess, to investigate the situation is already helpful. It can be, for example, your immediate superior, or the the line supervisor that your superior talks to. There has to be a protocol of updating. No? And very important, of course, is our public. In some crisis situations, we actually know beforehand that a situation could become a bigger crisis. So before we even allow the crisis actually, for example, to go to the public and become a situation that's being talked about in social media, we need to be prepared to answer possible questions by the public. No, we need to manage. We need to keep in mind that there might be emotions or reactions and questions. So we need what the public needs to see actually is that the in the institution, at the Department of Education, or whoever the team is, do you think you have things under control, or at least have a plan? No? In a very big crisis situation, they may not expect an immediate resolution, but the public will appreciate the plan. And we must need to communicate the progress of our plan to our most important stakeholders. Now, what has been done so far? What are the achievements so far, accomplishments so far, in terms of like the milestones that we noted in the plan, and is the other commitments that we noted in our plan, have they been delivered? No. So those are some of the more immediate things that we need to manage. As we know, a crisis situation happens really fast. It poses a major threat to an organization, like reputation-wise or in the operations. It's sometimes unpredictable. However, sometimes it can be a buildup of smaller issues. No, so when I'm saying it's sometimes unpredictable and sometimes buildup of smaller issues, it can be that it's something already ongoing or something seasonal, no? And we know that it's gonna happen, for example, in the next few months. There could be some issues because, for example, issues sa enrollment, no? Or it could be, for example, connected with like a taking of a test, or the release of a result of a test, for example. So it's something that we can already anticipate, no? So there are several kinds of crisis situations, and actually some I would call issues first. No, so the blue one here, that blue marker, this is what we call the unanticipated or unpredictable. These are the situations where we're really blindsided. Wala talaga tayong we did not anticipate it happening. No, this could be, for example, biglang may death or may accident, or biglang may nasira na infrastructure, na building, no? So something that's really something na hindi natin expect. In a way, for example, the COVID situation is an unanticipated. Well, the situation right now, the global situation right now, is an unanticipated public health crisis. No, so and we see the impact now of COVID-19. But specific to an institution, we can also have this unpredictable crisis situations. The green line now are what we call episodic situations. This could be like unresolved issues, or what or in the previous trainings kasi that we had, this would be like urban legends that if not managed well, if not addressed well, they become crisis again. They have a peak and then they slow down, and then perhaps it could also be seasonal. For example, it comes up at the start of the year, or the middle of the year, or at the end of the year. It depends on the activities. No, so we know that it can probably happen. So we need to be prepared for the situations already, and we know that it can happen again and again. No, so may mga ganong sitwasyon. And then there's what we call endemic crisis situations. These are the situations that we should have seen it coming. No, siguro ang nangyari dito, the issue was not properly addressed. Maybe it was dismissed, or maybe it was reported, pero the action was not the initial action was not enough, or perhaps there were other factors also that added to the situation that made it more complex, no? So now it peaked into a crisis, no? So I think this is something that we need to keep in mind, looking at the activities, looking at the situations that you've had before. What are unanticipated? Do you see them happening again in the future, most likely, or not? What are the situations before that you can categorize as episodic for your particular area, no? Meron bang, we might have like common episodic crisis scenarios, but there might be something also unique to your area. Maybe that's something that we need to start plotting and we need to start preparing for. But also endemic, is there something that's happening now that you're trying to address? Maybe it's an issue, but it's not really getting resolved, no? Is there a need for further action, no? Is there a need for escalation to a supervisor, or to a more aggressive action, no? So is that something that's happening now? So something for everyone to think about, no? As I go through the next steps and next slides also. So considering that, actually, when managing a crisis, we need to be prepared way ahead of time, no? So even before a crisis happens, we should have several items in place already. And these are these are the more critical things, I think, that every communications team should have in place for them to be able to respond to a crisis effectively, no? The first thing is the crisis response team, and then of course their contact numbers. If a crisis happens, sino ba yung i-activate na mga tao? Who will be the main team, for example, that the executive committee will need to talk to or will need to respond on the ground, no? So, and who will, for example, do the writing, who will approve the articles, who will talk to the stakeholders, no? So, and later on in the next slide, I'll show you a sample of a sample composition of a crisis response team. The second is a team activation protocol. A team activation protocol is basically sort of like a call tree, for example. If a crisis happens, who do you advise first? And then that person, kumbaga, for example, the crisis team lead, how will he or she activate the members of the crisis response team? No, will it be through mobile? Is there like a Viber group now that you have, which allows you to easily communicate the facts of the situation? Is it through email, although email is slow, no? So there might be a need to determine what would be the fastest way to activate the people that need to respond. The next is a crisis escalation matrix and response strategies, including initial key messages. If some of you were present in the communication planning web I did before, so some of the things, example, that I showed, like the key messages, are some of the things that we need to start preparing ahead of time if we can, no? Especially if we're anticipating that something could blow up into a. So the message house framework that I talked about before is something that can be very useful. But a crisis escalation matrix and response strategies can only be effective if you're able to map out also the risk and the possible issues way ahead of time. No? So a risk mapping exercise or an issue or crisis scenario mapping exercise is something that perhaps the teams can consider doing way ahead of time. I know there might be several, but there's a way also of plotting out which has the most probable impact and most probable likelihood to happen, no? And I'll show a matrix later, some simple matrix that you can use actually to plot down at which of the scenarios you should be taking action or preparing for, no? For you to be able to prepare for a crisis effectively. The fourth are communication templates. the communication templates could be, for example, the press statement, or other a memo to stakeholders, a letter to stakeholders. Stakeholders could mean, for example, the internal employees. We can't forget the employees also of DepEd. Sila po ay ang primary champions natin if a crisis happens. No? So there has to be some sort of communication also that to the internal stakeholders. Mahirap if, for example, in a crisis situation, the, those critical of the department are also coming from within the organization, and I know that that happens in any organization, and also in government. So if there's a way we can manage that, maybe make our internal stakeholders allies or champions for us, that would be great. No? Other communication templates, for example, like I know there might be some press statements. There might be another format for a media advisory. But also we need to keep in mind that right now social really is where people are getting their news items. I don't know if you saw the most recent SWS survey. It notes that actually I think it was just released yesterday, or uh, it says that Facebook is now the main source of news by the Filipino, equivalent to TV. No, although those people who are using Facebook are higher education attainments. No, so but definitely people are getting their news. It doesn't mean I was asking when I was looking at the SWS survey, I was thinking, is it actually legitimate news, or is it like all kinds of news, including fake news? So it could be that. But the fact is, people are actually going to Facebook for their news. So I know that the TEP consistently and regularly posts update on Facebook, so that's good. But that's something also that we need to keep in mind, are getting news in Facebook. So a crisis, there's a possibility that even before we know it, a lot of people may have access to that information about a crisis situation already. And then the fifth item is the communication approval protocols. When developing a communication material in a crisis situation, ano ba dapat yung approval process? Who does it go through? Which stakeholders does it go through? No? Internal stakeholders. Does it go through the communication head, for example, in your respective regional offices? Does it need to go through the public affairs services? Does it need to go through the office of a specific undersecretary and for eventually the secretary? How long will that take? So that's something also that we need to keep in mind. And of course, the media list. No, we need to have a ready media list. For the national office, for example, may ready po ba tayong list ng report? Also the editors. For the regional offices, do you have the list for all the radio, for example, TV, newspapers there, or even social media bloggers? No, because sometimes they are the ones also who post the news, or they aggregate, so they can be helpful in distributing information. But of course, make sure these bloggers are legitimate, or they're not biased, or as much as possible they're neutral also, or ally the Department of Education. So those are some of the things that we need to prepare ahead of time. So in the next few slides, I'll show some samples. So this is a sample crisis communication response team. For example, the team lead would be the head of communications in your respective office. The co-lead is someone who can actually help the team lead in managing all the crisis response actions that needs to happen. And they can be the ones coordinating with the XCOM. The XCOM, on the other hand, talks to the public. The team lead or the co-lead can also be the ones coordinating with other internal information resource or approval of some communication materials, for example, kailangan involve yung HR or legal or other technical working groups within the Department of Education. No? So there has to be that process. But in terms of crisis communication specific tasks, definitely there has to be a writer. The writer needs to develop, for example, the Q&A, the holding statements or press statements. The writer may also assist the team lead in developing the stakeholder communications plan or the crisis response plan. No? The team lead or the co-lead could be a communication strategist. So the ones encircled with red, these are the ones actually who may need to closely coordinate with the EXICOM, or in some cases, for example, the EXICOM might request for these individuals to be in their office while a crisis is happening. No? So they need to be prepared. That's why I noted also the co-lead here. Definitely important in the communication environment today also is a social content team. People, as I mentioned, people are getting their news in Facebook, so we need to prepare also content in Facebook. If we're releasing to media, there has to be a social equivalent of that. No? And I see that happening in the Department of Education social page, and that's great. No, there are news items that are coming out in the newspapers, but there's also a version laid out, nice aesthetics, that's posted in the DepEd website, and that's very helpful because iba rin yung behavior ng tao in social media. No? So the social content team develops and publishes and manages the social content and conversation. Convo is conversation. There might be a need to respond to some questions that are asked, no, in Facebook. So there has to be some sort of community management that's happening. So the social content team might be comprised, for example, of a creative director kung meron, or like a graphic artist or several graphic artists, a copywriter, a video production team. If you plan, for example, to create a video as a way to help respond to a crisis situation, although that takes a little bit of time, a community manager to answer the responses. So something that you might want to think about. I know, however, that resources or personnel might be limited. So it doesn't mean that you need to create a new team actually to create the social content team. It's possible, for example, that there's a dual role that can be assigned. These people might have other functions during a regular day, but if a crisis happens, perhaps you can assign this individual specific roles in order for you to respond effectively to a crisis communications, to a crisis situation. The third column here is social listening. Very important to conduct social listening during a crisis situation because that gives us the pulse. Ano ba yung tinatanong ng mga tao? Yung mga tinatanong nila, are we able to respond to these questions, to these concerns, no? So if you can make this also more formal in terms of reporting, something that you can track also, mas maganda. For example, even a simple Excel form noting all concerns, or grouping, categorizing all the concerns, that would be very helpful. The social listening team or the person can also flag critical developments, no? So that if there's a need for a major action, then that has to happen. Apart from social listening, so social listening is in social media, there has to be also traditional media monitoring. So we need to know how the media is picking up the news. Where is it coming out? The front page ba siya, or it's just within the newspapers, for example? Is it being shared in social media? Is it being reported in radio, in TV, in the online news, or limited lang siya, for example, in online news? No, so that gives us a sense then of the level of interest of media, and that will help us assess if there's a possibility of the news item or the situation to be reported again, no? Kung merong bang follow-up stories, or will it die down after this particular situation? So the traditional media monitor gives you that sort of feel and assessment of the situation. We also need a very important in a crisis situation is a media relations person. This would be the media point of contact. In some cases they might need to do some media intelligence work. For example, talk to some media to check if they have any news related to DepEd in their lineup, or they might try to get a feel of how media might try to angle, for example, a particular story. The media relations will also help in the distribution of the press statements. In some cases, they will be the ones leading the distribution of the press statements. If needed, they can arrange, for example, the media press con and the interviews, or conduct press rounds. No, so in some companies or institutions that we've worked with, the media relations person actually goes and visits the media offices. But I know again resources might be limited, so and in some cases, for example, in institutions, yung media na yung pumupunta sa government institution. So the press rounds might not be necessary. The last column I noted here would be a person in charge of perhaps doing some stakeholder engagement work. This could be stakeholders, for example, looking for possible champions for DepEd, or stakeholders that have concerns and we need to talk to them, provide some communication or information to them. The person in charge of doing the stakeholder work can do sort of like an intelligence work also, similar to what it might be done for media. Get a feel of the sentiment of the stakeholders, so by consulting them, no. So the stakeholder person might be the one supporting also the execom if the execom is involved in the stakeholder engagement work, and then coordinate or follow up the coordination with relevant stakeholders if necessary. So this could be the base. It can be you can have less people, for example, and then some people can actually have dual jobs. You can actually expand this more if you think that there are some actions that are missing here that is necessary for your particular office. But I think having this structure and actually putting it on paper, because we some people, our personnel uh leave stay, and then they might leave the next day. We might have people resigning, so having this institutionalized in in a document will be helpful, also in training and making sure that you speed up the integration, for example, of a new person in your team, no? So I suggest this is something that perhaps each member of the team can think about. Sino ba yung crisis response team nyo for your particular regional offices, no? This is an example of an escalation matrix. So I've noted here several levels. You might have something like this already. If not, maybe this is something that you can think about. So in this sample, you'll see, for example, you'll see that we start with a blue. I initially, in the original matrix that we used to share with our clients before, yellow, orange, and red lang, no? But more recently, we felt now there should be like sort of a blue level, something na we consider, for example, an impending crisis or an issue that could escalate to a crisis. Only perhaps a few people know, no? So we noted some possible actions, and also the actions that the noted here our client, no. The eon action could be you could replace with the crisis communication DepEd communications team action, and then the client could be, for example, your execom, or the other individuals involved, or this could all be part of your actions, no. But this basically shows you things, how to categorize the different crisis or crisis scenarios, and then the possible actions that you could take. So for example, for blue, we noted it here that in terms of description, the blue level would be the impending crisis or issue that could escalate to a crisis. Possible actions could be assess and plan. You conduct issues assessment like media and intelligence work if necessary.
scenario mapping plus action, identifying the action per scenario, the strategy per scenario, and messages per scenario, then developing the message matrix using, for example, other actions that you might need to do, for example, is consult or get information from legal, other technical working groups, or other relevant internal departments. Yellow could be crisis scenarios that have low impact. A possible description could be some external stakeholders are aware, one or two media coverage in small papers, and there's no social conversation. So in terms of action, it could be limited, for example, to monitoring and then alerting if there are further developments. If some reactive press statements can be developed. And then in terms of flagging, you might want to flag the designated internal contacts. No? So some a minimal activation of the crisis team and also perhaps a spokesperson. For the orange level, this would be the medium impact. Your stakeholders are aware there is some traditional media coverage. Traditional media meaning the radio, TV, newspapers, no? Some social conversations, may traction, share yung information and then there may reaction, for example, with some people. So in terms of action, there perhaps there has to be some proactive preparedness. Doesn't mean that we react immediately, but there has to be some preparation that's being done. So, for example, there has to be some close monitoring, baka twice a day monitoring. Perhaps you'll need to prepare some media statements and talking points, and there might be some reactive or proactive media response. No, you might forward these alerts to designated internal contacts or remind personnel on the proper protocol. If, for example, may media na magtatanong sa kanila, they're not the authorized spokesperson, they shouldn't be answering media. Instead, they should refer the media to the communications people. Perhaps cascade the prepared media statements to the spokesperson, and you need to flag the spokesperson. For red, ito yung high impact. A lot of stakeholders are aware. Some are hostile. There is a lot of traditional media coverage. Social conversation is increased rapidly, no? So there's also so you'll need to do some close monitoring and frequent updates. Definitely, you might need to issue media proactive media, and you might need to do some proactive media engagements and planning, you know. And definitely at this point, the spokesperson might really need to talk to media, no. So these this level is a guide. You might need to talk within your teams what kind of scenarios in the various levels, and it might be a little different per specific area, no, because some like what I mentioned earlier, some might be systemic, some might be unanticipated talaga. So for example, the systemic, we know that it's really gonna happen, so maybe orange lang siya. But if it's something big talaga that happens every year, so it's something na red that you need to be prepared for. Some siguro very minor, baka hindi na kailangan i-escalate, hindi na kailangan ng action from national office, but of course they need to be informed, so baka yellow lang siya. So you'll need to identify that. So to be able to do that, you'll need to do some risk and or crisis scenario mapping, you know, and this is how you can actually plot those scenarios. What I suggest is you list down all of the possible crisis situations, but also risk areas, no, or activities that may pose a risk or that could possibly develop into a crisis situation, and then you try to plot them. Is it likely to happen or not? How about in the degree of impact? Is it will it have a very high impact? No. Will it impact the operations? Will it impact the reputation of DepEd? Will it be talked about by, for example, at the legislative level? So you'll need to plot that down, and when you're able to plot that down, you can then determine, for example, that the upper right quadrant, itong likely and very likely, and then the very high, those are the
ones that you really need to focus on and that you need to prepare for. So yun yung kailangan ng message matrix, ng protocols, and then maybe some strategies for various possible scenarios, that sub-scenarios that might happen in that particular crisis scenario. So you need to be prepared for those situations. And then the other things that you noted as, for example, very unlikely and likely, they could still possibly become a crisis, but at least you noted them there, and you can assess further if you need to prepare for them comprehensively, or it's enough to do some minimal preparation for those possible crisis scenarios. Very important in a crisis scenario are messages, consistency of messages also. And then also we need to keep in mind that in a crisis situation, people might have their own interpretation of things. Actually, in general, no, people might have their own interpretation of things. So the key messages that you develop are very important because it helps guide our public in interpreting the information that we have. Some of our public and even media might not have the capacity to actually assess, for example, the information that we have properly. They'll look at it and understand with their biases, with their level of understanding and knowledge. So we need to sometimes help them steer towards how we want them to actually understand, how they should understand, for example, the information. And that's basically the purpose of the messages. Now it's so that we don't let media or the public draw their own conclusions, which might not be the right conclusion. So we have messages to guide them to that. No, so I mentioned before na the development of the key message can be guided by the message house framework. So if you remember before, I talked about umbrella, core messages, and key messages. And if you want, you have time, you can develop also stakeholder and issue specific messages and have proof points. And just remember that key messages, these are the key points you want your audience to take away. They are what you must say and get across irrespective of what questions are asked. So it would be helpful to have key messages. For example, in a crisis situation, na i-interview na yung spokesperson, you need to emphasize it at the start, for example, of the interview and at the end of the interview. And then you'll need to make sure that the key messages are present in the communication materials that you develop, especially the press statements that you have in your crisis in your crisis communication materials. You can think of key messages as sort of like the headlines that you want the reporter to remember when writing the story. So ano ba yung the most important things that you'd want the reporter, for example, to write about? Kung magsusulat sila sa notebook, ito yung mga things that you'd want them to sort of like put a star, no, beside it. So I won't talk about so much about the message house framework because I talked about it last time. Another thing lang pala that you need to prepare in a crisis for crisis communications is a frequently asked questions document. No, ito yung question and answer sort of document. So this is a document that notes all possible or anticipated questions from, for example, media or even some stakeholders that you might have, and then note all possible responses. It will make things easier actually for you and for your spokesperson. So the FAQ document will be guided by the message house also, and I think the head office might have some samples of this and they can share with you, know, and you might have also something like this. So that's something that that's very important in a crisis situation. Communicating in crisis situations, some tips. Definitely we need to show empathy in a public health crisis communication. That's very important. Or in a situation, for example, that might have involved some death or illness or affects family or children, very important na we show empathy. In a crisis situation also, it helps to be transparent. We need if there are things that are still are for planning, wala pang resolution, then we can say that. And I see that actually in the communications of DepEd, no, I think the most recent one is about the health guidelines, saying that there are steps that are being taken. These are some of the steps that are talked about, but may ginagawa pang plan, and that will be released in time. So that's actually being transparent, and that's good. We need to show that we are on top of the situation. I know it's quite hard, especially if in a crisis situation, and we're also very emotional ourselves, for example. So, but the public looks up to us, so we need to show that we are on top of the situation. It's okay to show some emotion, but we also need to show that there's a plan. There's a plan that's being developed, or there's a plan that's being implemented. If appropriate, you can show that you're cooperating with other agencies, organizations, or the public sector, whichever is relevant. If there were shortcomings, it might help to acknowledge and then highlight the steps being taken to address the shortcomings. People will find out, no? Especially now in social media, lahat ng everything posted, people can actually look for information. So medyo uh, mahirap to not be transparent about things. So we might as well acknowledge and then highlight the next steps being taken. And very important, we need to be consistent with our messaging. We need to be consistent with our actions. That's why the message house framework is very helpful, because that guides all the communications that we have. It will be the messages that will be used as spokesperson. It will be the messages that will be used by the media relations point person. It will be the messages that will be used by the stakeholder engagement person, no, assigned to assist in the stakeholder engagement, for example. And also it will be used in the communications within the department. So very important to be consistent. And also the actions that we commit to respond to a crisis, very important that we actually walk the talk in a way, no? So some criteria for determining if a media alert crisis is closed, but I know this might not be like black and white, for example, for government, because some of the crisis situations or the issue really just is prolonged, no. But if you were to be quite strict about determining if a media alert this crisis is closed, this is how we would actually assess, no. So if there's no follow-up coverage, or it's no longer shared in social media, or for red, for example, all possible coverages have come out, and then the coverage is balanced and fair or positive towards you, for example, towards the institution. There are no more follow-up inquiries from media. All media inquiries have been addressed, or it's no longer shared or discussed in social media, and then we can say that the crisis is closed. But of course, it doesn't mean that we forget about recovery. So this is also very important. We don't stop at the crisis. We need to also think about the recovery, because if we don't manage this well, then another crisis might happen. Parang COVID lang ngayon, no? We need to flatten the curve, because otherwise, if we don't manage it well, then there will be another wave. So in the recovery phase, if we need to provide updates, especially about commitments made during the crisis. Also, be very careful about parang sobrang adding a lot more information. Wala nang conversation, but because you insist on adding information, you're merong another news cycle about the crisis, and that's something actually that we don't want to happen. If it's a dying flame, no, don't fan the dying flame. If wala nang interest, then maybe it 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 you don't need to go to media. Maybe you just need to talk to specific stakeholders. Parang ganun na lang siya. And then slowly start releasing other positive stories and to rebuild the reputation of your organization, especially if it's a major crisis. So there has to be a rebuilding process. Sorry, I'm skipping through some slides here. I think there was a note from Sophia in an earlier email na some might ask about managing media. I noted here some tips for sudden and ambush interviews. I didn't note na dun sa mga interviews and press conference because you might be aware of those. But here are some tips for sudden and ambush interviews. I'll just go through this very quickly and then we'll open the floor for questions because we don't have much time already. Some tips. So sudden interviews, we categorize this as those media interviews na biglaan, no? But you have a little more time to sort of control the situation or prepare. So for example, this could be like phone interviews. Biglang may tatawag na media, but since it's a phone, you can actually say na, can you call again? Or pwede mo siyang ibaba and then tatawag sila ulit. Ganon. So, or if you are not prepared or if the spokesperson is not, you can ask to delay, ask the reporter to call again, or maybe ask the reporter to email the questions. Be sure, however, that if you respond to the phone interview, your voice is clearly understood, no? So very important yung voice, and then the journalist can actually hear you well because baka may missing words and so make sure to repeat the important things that you talk about in phone interviews. Sa email naman, biglang may marireceive ka na email, so medyo mas madaling i-manage yung mga questions. Yes, if you can, keep it short and sweet. Highlight the key messages in your email. SNS is social networking site, so there might be cases wherein you're friends with the reporter, so they might message you bigla sa FB Messenger, tapos biglang yung tanong nila is about a crisis situation already, or an issue. So it's sort of like a phone interview and email combination, no? So it's immediate. So very important also that that your messages are clear, but also try to keep it short and sweet. If, however, a response requires a lengthy statement, might be helpful to just send it through email para walang makat, no? Baka biglang nawalan siya ng data, tapos yung information that they get is only a part of your statement, so medyo baka misinterpret, no? So very, very careful about that. Ganun din sa SMS or through text. If it requires a lengthy response, then it might be better to acknowledge your answer through email. But if it's short and sweet lang naman, kasha dun sa number of characters in a text, then it should be okay. But we know how some media might some stakeholders might actually screen capture, for example, the reply. So we need to make sure also that what we're noting there is the complete statement. And then for ambush interviews, this might be something that you can experience, that you can experience or you've experienced, no? The guideline person do not agree to an ambush interview. Pero wag din kayong tumakbo. Kasi may pwedeng i-video ng media yon, no, na okay, the representative from DepEd is running away from me. May mga ganong videos actually that you see online in YouTube, and that can be more, and that could actually become the crisis situation. So just be calm. Just be calm also in managing and in coordinating with media. Maybe apologize and say that you're not the authorized spokesperson. Maybe you can collect the questions and then say later na the spokesperson will reach out to you later na. So do not fidget even if you're pressed for time. Stay calm. Maybe try to move to a more comfortable venue. It will allow you to better. Or maybe take control, answer a few questions, and then say you have to go. Itong the last notes here are for a spokesperson already. Of course, very important to get the name and affiliation of the journalist. Okay, I'll open the floor now for questions. I think we have about 10 minutes before we end the session. Is there anything unclear dun sa presentation? Any follow-up questions? Ayan. Okay, so there are several.
Yeah, nasa chat, Vicky.
Sorry, hindi pala masyado nadidinig, no?
I'll share the slides with you para you can take a look at it later on your own time. Malakas kasi yung voice ko na dito, so I wasn't really aware na mahina pala yung audio, but I think this is recorded. Perhaps it can be shared later on. Try to answer some of the questions.
Hello. Okay, thank you, Miss Vicky.
Yes, yes.
So I think we have still 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes. May we invite our RIOs?
Hello, Ma'am Bebs.
Yes.
Ma'am Bebs.
Yes.
Just would like to ask. Yes po. Just would like to ask, in social networking sites, and how do we properly react if we are tagged by a journalist in a posted?
Miss Vicky?
Sure. I'll try to answer that. You might have a protocol for this, but from our experience, no, if you're tagged by media, if the issue, for example, is legitimate naman, perhaps you can answer, but I don't suggest answering immediately there sa social media site or sa comment na yon, kasi we might have seen something like this before na kung saan may nag-post tapos becomes a very long conversation, a thread, tapos respond ka ng respond. So some people might actually have their own biases there, no? So I don't really recommend immediately responding there to social media site. If it's an issue, for example, and then you've responded to it before and you've released a statement, maybe what you can do is lead the media to the statement, link to the statement that you have. However, if it's a new issue and you're really not ready to respond to, assess first internally, or maybe reach out to the media separately, not through the social site. Maybe you can actually message them there in the social site to say that, ma'am, we will PM you. May we contact you to talk about this, no? So just be careful about posting immediately doon sa social networking sites, no? If you can lead them to the statement, do that. Do the direct message. I think that would be better. But there might be a protocol also that's being built now by the head office, and they might want to share as well.
Okay,
yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think i-discuss din naman ni Director June during yung offered training niya on Saturday. And we would like to hear more about that. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Miss Vicky and Miss May. I think Mr. Amir?
Just a short protocol lang, no. Ang rule of thumb sa public affairs service, I always say this, no, pag natatag or when there's a hostile reaction on social media, you check the number of shares, check the number of organic shares. If it's 300 and more, it's time to respond. If it's less than that, don't. Try to check formal channels of communication. It really depends, no? Communication is a science. So, pero yun yung rule of thumb namin sa public affairs. That's all.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sir June.
Thank you, sir. Direct, can we accommodate one or two more questions?
Sure. Go ahead.
Amir is raising his hand.
Yes. Thank you so much. Actually, na-touch ni Direk yung share, which is also one of our bases actually. But I just would like to add na tama rin na we don't indulge doon sa mga pakikipagdebate doon sa comment. Sometimes mga pain lang yan eh. So ang ginagawa namin sa DepEd Region 2, if I believe maybe other regions also have their own, kapag may nagtag kasi sa amin, na kaming may post because ang rule is unahan natin sila, 'di ba? So dapat may mga na-post ka na, may mga information ka na bago baka lang hindi niya nabasa kaya ibigay mo yung the same na link or the same answer. Number one rule talaga diyan, kahit ano pa ang phraseology sa tanong, kung isa lang naman ang essence, isa lang din ang sagot natin. Because they might read na in another post, ibang way ng pagkasagot mo, in another post, iba na naman, or to other person, iba na naman. So ang rule talaga dyan ay pare-pareho yung sagot mo doon sa tanong nila, paano man ang pagka-word, basta the same ang essence. At isa pa, pag halimbawa may nagtag sa akin at wala pa akong na-post na information about that issue, may time ka naman na gumawa. And then later on, you go back to your rule na yun na lang ang ibigay mo as a standard answer doon sa mga tanong na yan. And also, maybe for my fellow RIOs at saka DIOs, yung rule kasi na we always take it from the central office. The issuances and all, yan always ang basis natin. Hindi tayo lalayo. In fact, kung pwede, eksakto na yun na rin ang ating isagot sa ating mga stakeholders. Hindi tayo lumalayo. Kaya we are happy pag agad na naming nakita din yung post ng central office using all their platforms para dun na rin natin i-call yung sagot natin para pare-pareho from central office down to the schools. Yun lamang po.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Amir.
So, yes, Miss Vicky, please.
I see a question here from Aquilino Miliar. He's asking who will really answer the ambush interview. Is it the agency head or information officer? The DepEd might have a protocol for this. I don't know if you have, parang if you've authorized, for example, some regional spokespersons also. Ideally, if you are not the spokesperson, if you don't have authority to be quoted by media, no, as much as possible, you don't answer the ambush interview. Instead, you refer the media to the communications team, to the spokesperson. Ganun ideally. But maybe Director June can also answer. Is it the agency head or the information officer? You might have a protocol for this.
Yeah, actually, sa central office, what we do is that we have a group of spokespersons. For example, no, during disaster, sometimes I also ask Yusik Elaine to answer some questions. But the core group actually is Yusik Ann and Yusik Nepo. So me, in past, I always coordinate with the spokespersons group. I never ever answer questions sa public or even sa media because nag-deliberate yan. So whatever we do, we always refer sa spokespersons at saka sa head of agency. So time na may lalabas ng information for pinipress kami for answers right away, no? Pag walang clearance sa secretary ng head of office, we will not answer the question. Kailangan there's gonna be a consistent answer at na-clear yun sa spokespersons group. Actually, this one is gonna appear sa National Comms Framework, which is very late actually because of all this crisis we're having. But hopefully ma-finalize this weekend because we're adding it to the new norm. Okay.
Thank you, Miss Vicky. It was me. Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. It was last year when I was interviewed by the radio host, and it's about Brigada Eskwela and the preparation for the opening of the school year. At that time, the superintendent had an appointment, so the media, the host was asking me about the preparation. So I answered that because I have no idea as to the protocol. So, and since it was also asked by the secretary of our agency of the division office.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. I think it's already 12 o'clock. Miss Vicky, thank you so much. Direct.
I think, Ma'am Bebs, there are three people raising their hands. Si Joseph Perez, let's just accommodate yung tatlo. Si Joseph Perez, Ara Santos, and Armando Tengay. Can we proceed with Joseph? So last three questions, sige. Very limited time, but let's
Hi, sir.
accommodate.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. This is Mr. Joseph Perez of Defense Sorsogon. And my question is, na-discuss yung systemic crisis, no? Nakikita ko sa system natin, sir, wala tayong, sa DIO, wala tayong, talaga, plantilla sa division. And plus, yung funding, hindi tulad ng DRM, meron yan. Brigada Eskwela, meron yan. But on the communication side, wala talaga tayong downloaded funds. Plus, considering itong at lumalaki po dito sa ating lalong na ngayon, lumalaki ang mga concern ng DepEd, nandito na tayo sa new normal. So may I know kung napag-uusapan ba ito sa Central Committee, dyan sa Central Office? What are the plans for eventually having a position for Division Information Officer para hindi po papalit-palit? Sayang kasi ng mga training natin, ang gaganda, no? Tapos pagkatapos papalitan ang mga DIO. Sayang yun, sayang na investment. And considering wala talagang nahihirapan tayo saan tayo kukuha ng pondo, even in the regional level, medyo nakakat po ang pondo for the communication. Paano tayo gagalaw kung wala tayong makinarya, wala tayong pera? Your reaction, sirs, ma'am?
Hi, Joseph. Actually, you're right. And that's been one of my advocacies from the beginning, no? When we had our initial meeting with the regional information officers, that was one of the first concern that they raised. At pinag-uusapan namin yan. And then we also had a dialogue with the BHROD, with the finance, with our EXICOM members. That's one thing that we really wanted to do. Kung available lang ang pondo as soon as possible, because I really understand yung problema sa baba na yung DIO is every year napapalitan. Sobrang hassle din sa amin because we trained you already tapos biglang mag-iiba na naman yung designation mo, no? But that's one thing we're working at. And the first step which we did was actually to draft the National Communications Framework. Bakit? Because when we ask several bureaus sa Department of Education, there has to be a reason why we have to create the DIO. And ang mandato ng PAS ay mag-create ng National Communications Framework, which has never been done before. Yon ang gusto kong tapusin as soon as possible. Because that will be the basis para magkaroon ng pondo, magkaroon ng item, at magkaroon ng protocol for the DIOs. But I'm with you. I would love that idea. So that's the reason why I always engage the DIOs, not only the RIOs, because I feel that you guys have a lot of contribution sa messaging ng central office, and you are very important stakeholders sa public affairs natin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your response. And we are really indeed the frontliners down here. So we will greatly appreciate your initiatives up there. Thank you.
Siguro si Ara, no?
Yes, good afternoon, sir and ma'am. Santos T. Aranya, SEPS for Planning and Research of SD Legazpi, Bicol Region. Sir, maganda po yung nasabi nyo kanina na mayroon kayong grupo ng mga communication officers or mga sumasagot sa mga queries ng media dyan sa Central Office. Sa division offices po ba, mayroon na tayong protocol na ganong uri para kanya-kanyang field of specialization o expertise siya ang sasagot sa mga queries ng media? Hindi yung kung sino-sino lang nagsasalita na hindi naman sila siguro authorized to speak as authorized by the superintendent or on behalf of the division information officer?
Sa amin sa central office, there's a memo assigning spokesperson Yusek Nepo Malaluan and Yusek Annalyn Sevilla. And I think the same thing could be applied to division offices now. It really depends on the head of agency, on your superintendent. kung sino ang kanyang i-designate na kanyang alternate spokesperson. Not just anybody can answer questions. Kasi may specific skills yan na kailangan. Yeah.
Yes po, sir. Kami po ay mga designated information officer. As of now, my designation is alternate because our information officer is the ASDS of SD Legazpi. So, would it be possible na ang central office ay mag-calibrate or mag-create, mag-draft ng isang policy on media protocol para uniform tayo lahat from central office down to the SDOs?
Yes, actually, I would love to have you tomorrow for our session on crisis communication and comm planning because I'll do a rundown as well of the National Communications Framework. Yan ang task talaga ng Public Affairs Service, no? Which is to provide a constitution sa ating mga communicators within DepEd because that's something that has been missing for the longest time. Kasi kung walang klarong protocol, you're right, it's gonna be very, very messy. Yeah.
Okay, maraming salamat po, sir, and good afternoon po.
Siguro last na si ano ba? Tapos na ba si Joseph? Tapos ano?
Sir Arman?
Arman, yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is Mr. Armando Engay of DepEd Sorsogon City, Division Information Officer. My concern is, in other agencies, ang ICS ay na-institutionalize na po ang ICS. Now, in crisis management, I think this is the best setup, yung ICS, so that ma-institutionalize ang crisis management. Like for example, in Sorsogon City, we have armed conflict here. So sometimes merong encounter na nangyayari. Ngayon, wala pang, ang ginagawa namin ngayon, we apply ICS as applied in OCD. So dyan sa ICS, nandyan po yung tao na gagalaw at magsasalita. Actually, it is crisis management. Ang hindi ko lang bakit hindi ma-adapt ng DepEd ang ICS, bakit ina-adapt sa lahat ng mga agencies. Ganun po yun. Second option po, or second thing po, na sana po itong sinasabi ng iba na talagang kinakailangan magkaroon ng, kasi dito sa level natin, hindi nga pinag-uusapan yung, kahit itong COVID-19, hindi masyado na-organize. Yung DIO, this is part of the management sana ng crisis. Pero yung ang role ng DIO, hindi masyado siyang na-define, na-centralize siya doon sa health section. So I hope this could be considered. Yan lang po.
Sir Arman, actually that's the reason why I'm going to have a webinar tomorrow and I invited your RDs. And some of them are actually sending their SDS. So medyo kinakabahan ako kasi mas maraming tanong ata bukas. But yes, I think there has to be a unitary response within DepEd because after all, we're just part of one institution. That's something we have to lay down as soon as possible. I would love to invite you tomorrow for our comm planning and crisis management session because your superiors as well.
Okay.
At pag-usapan natin yan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Meron bang, sige last. Sorry Vicky, mahal ang bayad ni Vicky
No problem. No problem.
Okay. Sino ba yung nagre-raise ng hand na huli? After Arman, wala na, no? I think we've answered all the questions. Oh, last one siguro kay Rayan Avila. Pwede po kayang mag-issue ng memo ang CO para sa establishment and composition ng Division, Public Affairs and Communications Unit with clear TOR? Yes, that's something we have to do. No, I repeat, no, for the longest time, we don't have that and kailangan natin gawin yun as soon as possible. And I take that as my responsibility. Rhea. Thank you. I think that's it. Yep.
Okay. I've shared the documents with Sophia. She will share it down to the MS Teams. For the presentation pala. Yan.
Wala bang question dun sa OBE ticketing system or tapos na, Ma'am Bev?
Actually, sir, medyo if we're going to run through the chats and ang dami pong question about OBE sa ticketing system natin. So, I think we will have a meeting first with our team. We are ready naman po dito. Actually, the PAAC po is ready naman to have another session if it's OK with the group. We can set naman po if they want or if they are available. Kasi masyado pong marami yung concerns, baka po abutin tayo ng alas 5 ng hapon if we're going to discuss everything. So
Yeah,
as of now,
I think that's very feasible. I think we have to answer all these questions na nasa chat group, and if there's anything that you wanted to ask, you can also refer to Ma'am Bev's. Very short lang siguro. I think I have to thank the PAAC team, no? Kasi sila ang aming alay sa central office at nagre-report araw-araw.
thank you, sir.
So sila ang aming
And
sacrificial
ano
lang.
naman po, sir, nandito lang naman po kami for technical assist.
Ay.
Oo. Since ECQ, nandito po kami sa PAAC, naka-duty po kami. So, active po kami dito. Pwede naman pong email lang. After this, pwede naman po tayong mag-chat-chat. Yung mga DIOs natin, pwede po kayong dumiretso sa amin if you want. Pero sa ticketing system, medyo technical po yon. So, as per advice naman po of the ICTS group, pwede naman pong mag-hold ng second batch kung merong ikaklaro or kung gustong ulitin. Yun po. So, yung ticketing system lang po ang medyo highly technical talaga na marami tayong questions. I think Ms. Kat is still here from the ICTS.
Yes po.
So, as per the advice of your office, pwede naman daw mag-second batch tayo. Naka-focus na lang tayo siguro dun sa database system. Doon na lang sa pag-encode ng mga concerns para hindi na medyo maguluhan ng ating mga DIOs and RIOs.
Okay po, ma'am. I-check ko rin po if ever po na kung papayag po sina Miss Clark kung pwede po tayong magkaroon ng test site. Pero if not, mag-ano na lang po tayo, another session just in case. And yung mga consolidated questions naman po sa chat, pwede naman po kaming mag-help magsagot.
Ayun. So, yun na lang muna siguro as of the moment, Direct.
Yes, I think we have to thank Vicky, for joining us again. This is her second session with us. Hopefully not the last, Vicky. At pwede ka pang maharas at a very short notice na mag-discuss mga kailangan naming gawin sa DepEd. Yung inputs has been...
Sir?
Yes.
Pwede pong mag-suggest?
Yes, go ahead. Webster.
Sir, kung magkakaroon po ng second part po ng training, pwede pong gamitin na lang yung Google Meet or Zoom kasi hindi po lahat nakakapasok dito sa Teams. Kasi may problema po yung Microsoft Teams sa accessing ng service. So siguro po mas maganda dalhin po natin sa Google Meet, then we will use the DepEd accounts.
I would defer that to the IT people, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I will ask them.
Salamat po.
Definitely yung Zoom hindi pwede because there's a lot of security issues with that. With Google Meet, siguro let's explore that possibility, but I have to talk with the IT team if it's secure for all of us. Yeah. Thanks, Arm. Webster, sorry.
Salamat po.
Bevs.
So, with that, kung wala nang may mga nare-receive na sir ng mga questions, pwede email sa action.
Office. Solution office. Mr. Thanks, yo. Yes, office. Hey, man.
So, medyo nagcha-choppy na tayo. I think everything is okay na, Direk. Thank you so much. Meron pa ba tayo mga reminders?
Good. Do you have reminders pa?
Wala na po, sir.
Okay, so I think that's it, no? It's lunchtime already. Ayoko namang mag-hunger strike kayong lahat. So, maraming salamat for joining us, and hopefully, this won't be our last session. We would love to engage and talk to all of you as much as possible, no? Sa development sa central office. Yung memo about Brigada, Eskwela, and OBE will come out very, very soon. Yung mga protocols natin, NCF, all of that will also come out very, very soon. We will make sure na kung tayo isasabak sa gera, ay kompleto ang ating armas. So that's it. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat, and I hope to see you again sa ating next webinar session. Thank you so much. Magandang araw.
Thank you so much, Direk.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you, Sir Joe.
Wala po bang lunch?
Thank you po, Sir Joe.
Walang lunch?
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Wala
sir.
bang lunch?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yung lunch, virtual na lang.
Ma'am Bebs, thank you po.
Lunch.
Thank you. Deliver daw ni Direk yung lunch virtual. Oo.
Manyanita po.
Hello po, Ma'am Babes.
Hello po, yung mga RIOs natin, nga alam yung number ko, tsaka chat, pwede kayong dumiretso. Nandito ako hanggang 4 p.m. O may mga clarifications po.
Director
So,
Jewel.
for everyone. Salamat po everyone.
Bye po.
Happy birthday, Ma'am Michelle.
Wala dapat ang magpapakain eh.
May manyanita po si Miss Michelle.
Parang bawal ata ang manyanita ngayon. Nakaban.